Was that on accident? Forgive me. Anyway, so I've been off for a minute. Company from Mexico. I've shot some videos, didn't upload them. I've got a lot of footage that I do or don't know if I want to release. Digging into Ed's past. Anyways, and going to school because I really want to become a lawyer in this country, so that takes time and dedication, and so as a result you've got studies and stuff like that. But I haven't forgot about my channel and my story and what's going on. So anyways, I've been building drones. I got lots of things going on. Company from Mexico. Camp Canyon videos finally dropping tomorrow. And so, and I wish I was more articulate in that, and that I was a better public speaker. I said articulate, but just had a better way of conveying what I want to say and staying on point. Recently, we've had the Charlie Kirk shooting. We've had the Ukrainian woman unalived on the metro system in North Carolina or whatever it was. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world, man, in our own country. What's up, everybody? So it's been a minute since I've done a video. In any event, I told you that we would be putting together a drone. So it's kind of like what we're doing. And obviously there's been a lot going on in the media lately. As far as the slaying of the Ukrainian woman. Now Charlie Kirk. And I'm listening to Valhalla VFT and Mike Glover's stories, YouTube, that you can see in the background here. In fact, I'm going to put something else on. So anyways, I told you guys I'd be putting together a drone today, so that's what I'm doing. And it just seems to me like the media is always pushing fear. And some of the people that I watch on YouTube are Casey the car guy, Casey Push. I watch him all the time. He's an engineer also. And I wonder if I've got it here. My little, I do have it here. Here's my little badge for my work. It is an engineering place. It's kind of like what I do. But I listen to him a lot because he's smart, he's articulate, and he also does something that I do a lot. I debate artificial intelligence a lot. And the reason why, there's multiple reasons for it, and I want to stay on topic. I'm not going to get off in the weeds. I debate things to challenge my own beliefs to see if there's something that I'm missing a point on or something like that. And so I will oftentimes debate artificial intelligence. And I want to point out that artificial intelligence was just, ChatGPT as a matter of fact, was just beaten by a grandmaster in chess. And artificial intelligence excels at compiling and sorting a large amount of data much faster than Americans, or not Americans, but humans ever could. I've got Americans on the mind this morning because I was asking about the definition of alpha male in an American perspective as opposed to perspectives of other cultures, Japan or Asian cultures, for example, to where different societies value different things differently. Staying on Casey Push, Casey is a very smart individual, and I listen to him a lot, and there are a lot of people that are smart in a lot of things. There's Green Beret Chronicles. I dig the dude, man. I love his channel. Valhalla VFT. I love his channel. And so I listen to these different people have different things to say. Charlie Kirk declared Man of Steel by Surge and literally ridiculous. When I was in Mexico, I carried 308 almost exclusively. And 308, for those of you that don't know, has a slightly higher chamber pressure than 7.62 by 51 millimeter, which you can fire out of the same barrel as a 308 if you have something that's chambered in 308. They don't recommend the inverse because the barrel may not be able to handle the chamber pressure of it, but you can feasibly fire them one out of each other. And if you're issued a fall that's chambered in 7.62 by 51 millimeter, we would routinely fire 308 from it. I'm not a gunsmith. I don't recommend people doing anything. I'm just saying what we did, and it was routine. We carry this because it's a powerful round and it goes right through ballistic plates, man. End of story. And I have watched 223 rounds or 5.56 by 45 millimeter go right through someone's cheek and exit out of their head with a wound that was about that big. Let's say 2.5 inches to 3 inches in diameter. Even a 223 will penetrate an entire skull through the cheek. I've seen this personally, and come out the back end. And so there are a lot of things being stated in the media lately, and I've made videos on it, and perhaps I'll include little clips of them in here, and then I've not uploaded it because I know what I know, and you know what you know, and I'm at 5 minutes and 30 seconds into this already. I listen to people like Valhalla VFT. I listen to people like, right here, Green Beret Chronicles, How to Spot a Fake Operator. I listen to people like Casey Push, and the reason why, I even listen to other podcasts, there's a thing going on with like this tendency to want to become an alpha male. And if you haven't, that requires certain things. When I was younger and I'd gotten in trouble, and it'll come out on the Camp Gagnon interviews that I did with Mark Gagnon. Great crew, great guy. If you haven't had a chance, go over to his channel and like and subscribe. He's an interesting cat, smart, knows a lot of things about a lot of things, and his team is really top notch too. And I'm not pumping them up because they're going to do a video on me. I actually like the guy's channel and have subscribed to him for a long time because he has a lot of really interesting knowledge about a lot of things. That's going to drop tomorrow. My story is going to become apparent. We've shot 3 different videos. I've been interacting with some people, and I'm grateful for everyone that watches my channel. But, to be honest, I've got school and stuff going on too. I have priorities. My immediate priority, I was in church yesterday, kneeling before my king. My king does not go down and become a politician and go down and diddle little children on Epstein's Island. So, that's not what my king does. I have a king. I have one king, and I am not an anarchist. I am absolutely beholden and required to obey every commandment in the Bible, whether I like to or not. I don't get to pick and choose, and that's just the way that it is. And so, and there's a lot of things that I've done in my life that I've been imperfect about. But if we're going to get on to government loyalty and other things like we will in this video, I'm going to say things the way that they are. I have a government. It's a Christ-like government. And the second a politician or anyone stops becoming Christ-like, and if they're diddling children, I'm not following them. An alpha male, someone that's physically imposing, someone that has an indomitable spirit, someone that is brave and willing to face up to being hurt or even killed themselves, someone that is accountable to the people that count on them. There are all these different definitions in American culture of what an alpha male is. An alpha male is not going to be led by someone that's diddling children. The American media loves to point out things that could potentially harm you or make you fearful. And so they get a lot of people behind them that don't think for themselves, that sit there and parrot everything that the media has to say. Like the Kash Patel account, Kash Patel dating Marissa Streit, who is an Israeli army intelligence officer that is now in charge of the CEO of Prager University. Totally not suspicious, I'm sure. There's a big divide in this country, man. And it's been pushed by people like George Soros, who wants a world government. I'm a fan of the 2 wings, 1 bird theory. And they'll sit there and they'll do everything. The government will provoke all these problems so that it can fix all these problems, always resulting in less restriction or less freedom for you, more taxes. And I'm not with it, dude. The alpha male thing. When I was young, I faced an attempted murder charge, man. And I was locked up with legit murderers in LA. And they were legit. And you would be a liar if you said that you weren't afraid, because when you go in there, you better bet someone will stab you. They'll put steel in you. They'll crack your head open. They will beat you to death. It happens time and time again. And you're going to be found out and tested quickly. Right off the bat. I was doing pull-ups on a bar. You guys have seen these big tattoos. And I had some Muslim 5%er guy come up to me and ask, "Are you a member of the KKK?" And I was not. But I couldn't show fear, so I told him, no, but I support what they believe in, which I don't. But that was my answer in that moment. And him and his friend went back upstairs, because it was a big dorm. And they were saying all this stuff like, "Don't go to sleep tonight, white boy," blah, blah, blah. And I had to go get a pencil from a trustee. And I went over to the store, and I told him to the stairs, and I told the first one that comes down, "I'm going to stab you to death." And I totally meant it, man. And the next morning, I got into it with like 5 of them. I could go more into that story, but that absolutely happened. Being an alpha male is not something I would ever define myself as. I'm not over 6 foot. I'm not way under 6 foot either. But I mean, people have this preconceived idea of what being an alpha male is, and a lot of people want to attach that self to them without ever putting their bacon or their fat in the fryer, man. And that's kind of contingent. You need to be tested to see if you're really an alpha male. And these people that go online right here, how to spot a fake operator. I am an operator, or was an operator, from a Mexican perspective. Not something also I would typically describe myself as. I've done it once when I did an AI title for my video. Because that's what people like to call it. And I call out grifters on my channel that pretend to be operators, non-permissive environment specialists. Everybody wants to attach themselves to something high speed. And this is important to bring up, because we've got this guy right here, legit Green Beret, dude. We've got this guy right here, legit Delta or whatever he is, but also legit Special Forces. The guys are badass without a doubt, man. They put themselves in the line of fire in direct hazard of their own lives, and they've earned the titles that they have. And I don't ever want to upsell my story. I'm just some guy that wound up going somewhere, doing something. And so I have people that call me Mike and Ben. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get back to you guys as much as I wanted to. But I'm committed to my priorities, which is taking care of my wife, slowly growing my channel, getting a degree in law so I can implement some of the changes that I want to implement in our country, because being apathetic does not get you anywhere. If you are apathetic politically, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I challenge you, whether you have a pretty grill or not, just like I don't, to go to school to expand the amount or your quantity of knowledge that you can apply and inflict in your life, and not be politically apathetic, because when you're politically apathetic, it gets us to be led. I ran into a politician 2 days ago taking my canoe out over here on the river. And he wanted me to sign a poll. He was doing a poll. He was polling. And I wouldn't sign it. And I asked him, I'm like, what makes me, because I've guarded politicians. I'm like, what makes you someone that I should support? And I do admit that at least the guy was out doing something. But he didn't like my answer that I didn't like politicians in general, and he didn't want to talk to me. I asked him specifically, what good does voting do when you're outnumbered by stupid people and lazy people that make their entire living off the government? When you're outvoted by people that have their collective interests, even though they're stupid or lazy and don't have the principles you carry, what good does it do? The answer is it doesn't do any good. You're outvoted by people that are stupid, people that are fearful, people that are lazy, people that are everything in contrast to your values and principles that you hold yourself to. I read a lot. I'm going to school right now. My school is right here. It's dashboard home. I want to become a lawyer with more than just words. It takes actions and work. And soon I'll be going to work. I got my work schedule straightened out again, so I can start investing some more time in this. I'm not going to lie to you and try to monetize my channel. I'm going to be sincere and genuine to you so that when you know you're listening to me, I'm not giving you some prefabricated thing where I'm trying to sell knives like certain people that can't even tell you their second last name so you can verify who they are. I'm not going to lie to you about who I am. And when I got a little bit of pudge around my belly because I haven't been being disciplined, I saw something, one of the UFC fighters, it was on Joe Rogan the other day. The guy's Muslim too, and I don't really dig on that religion. It's not for me. But I loved what he had to say about discipline. Be addicted to discipline. I've got this thing in my own life is where you either discipline yourself or life will do it for you. So being apathetic politically is not an option that we can afford ourselves any longer because we see the wheels of change turning in our own country. Right or left or independent. And I lean independently. And there's a lot of things where we need to have an honest discussion in this country about where we're going. And when we talk about the Declaration of Independence and the principles that come from that, like consent of the governed. The Native Americans did not consent to be governed. They were murdered and marched across the country. Until we can have some honest conversations, the Constitution as we know it was not legally, per the Articles of Confederation, legally voted into place. My great-great-great-great-great-grandfather started the state of Rhode Island, and my other grandmother was hung for being a Quaker, Mary Dyer, in Boston Commons before Massachusetts was even a state. It was still a colony. She went back multiple times. They said they were going to hang her to death. They finally hung her. That's not freedom, dude. And there are people watching this that are more badass than I am, that have better training than I am, that have also put themselves in harm's way the way that I have. And being that you are role models and people listen to you, it's imperative that we speak about principles, which is what saved me from becoming a complete train wreck. Principles, man. Bigger than any of us. And I'm not going to get on a soapbox and preach because you guys are going to think what you want. I watched Casey, very smart, debating with AI, proving that AI is sitting there selling us propaganda all along. The fact that Trump got into office the first time and promised to declassify everything around JFK, never did. 9/11, 3 buildings, 2 planes. Pentagon, wide open, shot into a publicly visible parking lot, but all of a sudden the security camera is now classified. The government lies to you. The ATF sending weapons into Mexico that I myself have personally faced. People pushing people like Ed Calderon in front of you and Katie Schultz as international cartel experts, even though Ed won't verify who he is through his second last name. And if you email him or call him, you get crickets. And Katerina Schultz, the same thing. Some Canadian elementary school chick that won some scholarship or a debate prize in South Africa goes to work for a Canadian broadcasting company for a year, quits that, and all of a sudden comes to the States and is an international cartel expert by people like Vincent Vargas and Ironclad. And someone told me one time on my program that your story's not that special. You know what? You're right, dude. You're 1,000% right. My story is not special. Okay, congratulations. My story's not special. But if my story's not special, neither is anyone else's. It does not deprive me of the ability to state my experiences of the things that I've done and that I know firsthand, like the fact that every Mexican that goes to work in Mexico for the government has 2 last names, including Ed with his Teniente Coronel, wait for it, Lezaola Perez. 2 last names, but Ed in 10 years, or 8 years, or whatever it's been since 2016, 9 years and change, has not once revealed to the general public what his second last name is. Even though I've got people like Scott Babb telling me that Ed told him he needs a certificate for his work in Mexico, and Ed himself does not know, Scott himself does not know what Ed's second last name is. Or Navy SEALs not knowing which Master Chief signed off on Ed's skydive training at Skydive San Diego when he trained with Navy SEALs. Or people like Travis Haley refusing to admit whether or not they trained Ed in tactical magazine exchanges. Ed's words on Mexico Armado in a forum that he was posting on back in 2010 or 2011. And then Ed on Gafe 423, not knowing what year he trained with Navy SEALs. It's all on video, man. So people are asking me, what proof do you have? Ed not knowing whether his first generation was 45 people, 35 people, 20 or 21 people, and Ed parodying everything that's written on Borderland Beat. And they sell all this stuff. They drum up all this stuff, and it's sold to people that are fearful, that don't want to go out and face the fat and the fire themselves, man. But they all want to be John Wickian people with attitudes that want to confront a largely disarmed populace, but they'll stand around in Uvalde and, yeah, you know, I'm talking shit, man. I'm going to say it. Standing around while children are being butchered, the exact antithesis of what you claim to be. And I'm going to claim it because I myself have been shot at. I'm going to say something because I myself have faced the same danger a lot of other people have. But then when it's time to implement your principles and live up to them, you don't. That's shameful. But you have all these people wanting to mimic or parrot that. You know, I'm going to pause this one sec. I need to say something about that. So, getting into the Charlie Kirk thing, man. Carrying 308 in Mexico, I know for a fact that when you hit something with a 308 round, there's going to be an entrance and an exit wound. You're not going to get what you saw on the video. Candace Owens with the footage. Valhalla VFT or someone was saying they don't trust Candace. I don't trust any of them, dude. I don't trust any of them because when I go to stuff like Shots Fired podcast, email them. When I email Sean Ryan, Ironclad, all the other people that I've emailed with a legitimate story about working in Mexico as an agent for a Mexican general in several states of the Republic, which I can prove. My story's not special, but their lack of response or interest in any of it is telling. And it's telling because you have this guy going out selling GSA contracts for training and whatnot to federal agencies and talking to politicians and being on YouTube, getting tens of millions of views, influencing our public, but he's never validated once who he is. We're being lied to, man. And I know we're being lied to because if the stations that I've contacted, Sean Ryan's channel, Ed Calderon himself, it's so many now. Joe Rogan, I can go down the entire list of every mainstream person. Camp Gagnon and Ian Bick are the only two that have gotten back to me at all, except for Tommy G. And it's not that my story's special, but people discount me or won't even talk to me, won't even respond before even knowing whether my story's special, extraordinary, or not. They don't know. And the fact that they won't even respond means that they're already peddling you whatever they want to be true. Because I might come in and discredit everything that they've said, questioning rightfully certain things that are common knowledge in Mexico, like, hey, what's your second last name? If you were doing executive VIP protection, Ed, who and when and what years? Because if you're doing executive VIP protection, you're not out in Quincy, Illinois or whatever doing a knife seminar in 2015. I can't spot you in any of the guy's details. And people ask me all the time, you got any proof? I have proof of who I was and what I was doing. Lots of it. I showed it to Mark and everybody on his crew. Ed's never once posted a picture of his badge. I can do it right now. Right now. I'm going to go on Ian Bick here shortly, dude. And we're going to see Ian. I really like the way that he interviews people. And I'm going to try to be more articulate and stay on point. I want to live amongst an informed populace that has the courage to go out and be the person that they think and say that they are. Because our country needs that. We are a country of free men. Which means that if you see someone walking down the street with an AR-15, it's not a big deal. It's their Second Amendment right, dude. If you see someone having a fire in their backyard, it's not a big deal. We don't clamp down on things like we're the subjects of kings, man. Especially when these kings are going out and diddling people on Epstein Island, or when these subjects of kings are going over here telling us something that I know for a fact isn't true. 223s will make an exit wound oftentimes, especially in the neck. And a 308 won't. It's a complete lie. Kash Patel, dating Israeli Army intelligence officer that's in charge of Prager University. It's also interviewed Ed. And now we're getting to a place where we got federal agents beating people down in the middle of the street. I got it on video, dude. You know? Made a long time ago, I made a decision that I was going to do the right thing no matter what, because I didn't want to be a piece of garbage in my own life, which means that when I see something wrong, I got to stand up and say something. When I see a piece of trash on the ground, I got to pick it up. That I have to be self-supporting and self-sufficient in all things, and I have to be harder on myself than anybody else will be. And I might be dirt to you, I might mean nothing, and that's okay. I don't mind. But to myself, I need to make sure that I police my own actions, my own thoughts, my own words, and do everything to the standard that I would expect others to do in my life. Because if I can't live up to my own principles, how can I expect anybody else to? So, that's basically what I got for you today. I don't know what I'm going to include in this video or not. I'm going to upload it. You know? I told you I'd build a drone. Here it is. It's right there. It doesn't work very well. I got some calibration testing and stuff like that to do. But I built one. It's pretty simple. And I'm looking at a laser printer so I can make my own printed circuit boards. And I have to continually push myself. And you need to push yourself too. And if you're not John Wick and you want to be, man, there's nothing wrong with that. But make sure you push yourself to the full extent. When someone's telling you that they're a non-permissive environment specialist, I would check that, because there's no MOS I've ever heard of in any country where non-permissive environment specialist is a thing by someone that can't even give you their full name, and when someone challenges them, they block them. You want to go after Valhalla VFT? He's got his stuff right here in the background, dude. I can see it. I've posted videos with my certs, with my creds. Where's Ed's? He won't do it. And if he does do it, I'll shut up. This isn't shit on Ed. This is where's our country going in a general direction, dude. I went to church yesterday. I have a king. There's a boss. I'm not it. Neither is any other man or person of flesh and blood. Unless it's Jesus. I watched 307 Project, and I like what he says about us. And the sermon on that was about that yesterday. It's right here. Immersing ourselves in the Scripture and the power of Scripture. And I have been hopelessly lost in my life and lifted out of my own transgressions, largely because of Scripture and other people that helped me along the way. That's enough out of me for the day. I'll stick a couple little snippets in here so you can see what I got going on. I'm going to have a little bit more time now going forward, even with my studies. And I encourage you to set your priorities. My priority is taking care of my wife and making sure that I continue to educate myself while I'm on the face of this earth, and doing the right things as often as I can, all the time. Even when I don't want to, and even when no one's looking. So that's enough out of me, man. Cheers. Sorry I haven't been on as much, but I've been busy with some stuff. Forgive me.